you're not really that committed. You're not really that serious about your success unless you spend $5,000 with me. Okay. Look, in this video, I'm probably going to piss off quite a few people, probably a lot of people, because in it, I'm going to expose all the current copywriting gurus in our industry, and I'm going to show you how to spot them from a mile away. Now, if you're not an active copywriter, or you're not serious about learning copywriting, this video might not be the right place for you to start, because I actually think that copy gurus in general can teach you a lot of the fundamentals of copywriting. And so it's okay if you follow copywriting gurus and you learn from them in the early days. But if you're an active copywriter and you're seriously looking to take your skill to the next level, I would stay pretty far away from them. I'd have a 10-foot pole, because they're not going to teach you the things that you need to make clients real money and to make yourself real money. Because as we're going to talk about shortly, most of them didn't make that money themselves. They're just selling courses. However, if you are an active copywriter and you're looking to take your copywriting skills to the next level, there's a few things that you absolutely need to watch out for. You need to make sure you don't fall into some of these traps, because there's a lot of copy coaches these days, and they may or may not give you the coaching help that you actually need. Because in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 red flags you must watch out for when looking for a copy coach. And I'm also going to give you my personal list of all the copywriters I trust that are brilliant at coaching, and all the other copy coaches I haven't worked with yet, but I've heard really good things about. Learn from these coaches if you want to make $10,000 to $25,000 a month as a copywriter. Let's get into the video. Okay, so red flag number 1 is results. Copy gurus have generated less than $10 million in results for their clients. And this is particularly important because when you're a copywriter, you need a lot of exposure, and you need to have generated a lot of results in a lot of different industries or with different types of copy. And if you've made less than $10 million in results for your clients, I don't know if you've really had that much experience. And I talked about this with a very successful copywriter. His name is Nabeel Azeez. He's generated over $1.4 billion. And I was asking him, like, what do you consider to be a really good copy coach? Somebody who has, really, good skills and can coach people really well. And he was telling me, yeah, you need about $10 million in results. And he explained how, you need a few campaigns behind your name. To have made $10 million, you can't have only had one successful campaign. And I looked at my career, and it made sense what he was saying, because in the first year of being a copywriter, I made about $5 million in sales for my clients. And in the second year, I made enough to hit $10 million in results. So I look at my own career, and it's like, I was working 15 hours a day that first year. Second year, I was working maybe about 10 hours a day. And it still took me 2 years to get that level of results, to get to $10 million in sales. So I need a lot of experience. I wrote a lot of different projects in a lot of different niches for a lot of different people. To get to $10 million in sales results for copy, I built up a lot of experience. And only then I was actually comfortable, because I'm also, coaching people. I became more comfortable coaching. I remember it was actually, interestingly enough, around the same time I got to that number. So I really like that perspective. And I think of a lot of copy coaches these days. They don't have these kinds of numbers. They've written copy, but maybe they made a couple clients over $100,000 here and there. Maybe they've made $1 million, $2 million, but you can create a really good autoresponder, a really good autoresponder for a client, and make them maybe $1 million just with one autoresponder. It is possible, but that doesn't make you a brilliant copywriter, because that's in one industry. And when you're a copy coach, you need to be able to review copy that's not just biz op copy or health copy or financial copy. You need to be able to write copy in different niches, and you also need to understand different ways to write copy, because writing email copy is going to be different to writing sales copy. It's going to be different to writing VSL copy. If you're looking for a copy coach, make sure that they've generated over $10 million in sales. And then that's like the rite of passage, I'd say, to become a copy coach. Like I learned from a lot of different copy coaches. I don't think that you have to say like there's only one good copy coach. Copy coaches, they have different styles, they have different approaches to writing. They have different experience working with clients, different approaches to working with clients. So I like to pick and choose. I like to take a couple of things from this coach, a little bit of this coach, a little bit from this coach. Like I learned email copywriting from one guy I used to work with. I learned sales copy from a different person. I learned emotional selling from a different person. That's fine. I like to pull from different businesses and from different copy coaches, but all of them made over $10 million for their clients. In fact, the first coach I learned from, he had generated $10 million for just one client. And he was really, really good. And he transformed my copy forever. So I would highly recommend that. And just this one red flag alone probably writes off most of the mainstream big copy coaches or copy gurus that you've seen online, because most of them will not be able to tell you that they've made $10 million for clients. They've made millions of dollars for themselves. They've sold 1,000 people into their program, but they've never really walked the walk. They've never really been a copywriter. They've never really been in the trenches, and they've never really generated real results for businesses. I'm all about creating value for other people so that I can get paid, right? So if you want to be in this industry and you want to make $1 million for yourself, I'd say the golden rule is, can you make $10 million for somebody else, right? If your copy can generate $10 million and you charge $1 million, it's a good deal. But if you're learning from people that have never really made anybody any money, it's not a really great starting point, because now how are you going to learn how to make money if your coach has never really made anybody any money? Sure, you might learn the fundamentals, you may learn how to sell and close clients, but what happens when the client actually wants to make some money? What happens when you have to deliver? It's going to get difficult. These days, because there's so much information about copywriting, a lot of the stuff's been diluted. A lot of what actually works has been forgotten or been misapplied. So you could spend all this time learning all these tactics and strategies and formulas and approaches and headlines and subject lines and call to actions, and it's all not that useful, because the people you're learning it from have never really applied it to any business to make any real money. They're just telling you it's useful, whereas they've never made any money with what they're telling you, or they've never made their clients any money with what they're telling you. So that's red flag number one. Now the second red flag, and this is equally important, they never actually show you any copy that they've written for their clients. So it's one thing to make $10 million in sales for your clients. The other thing is actually showing people your copy. Because anybody can say, oh, you know, I'm an experienced copywriter, I've got a lot of results for my clients. But then if you want to look at their copy, you can actually see for yourself if they're a good writer. A lot of copy gurus won't really show you the copy that they've written for anybody. And I'll tell you why. Most copy gurus, if they were to share their work with a very good copy coach or a very good copywriter who's made over $10 million, there's probably a lot to improve. And I know you don't want to learn from somebody who writes 6 out of 10 copy. Because here's the thing, right? When you learn from somebody, most of the time you can't reach their level. You get like just a little bit below their level, right? So if somebody is a 9 out of 10 copywriter and you learn from them, you're probably going to get to like 8.5 at best, because nobody can do it as well as the person that's doing it, right? If you wanted to get past that, you'd have to work with a different writer, you'd have to learn your own thing, you'd have to go on your own journey. If you're learning from a copy guru and they're a 6 out of 10 at copy, now you want to learn from them, you're going to cap at like 5.5. Your skill is only going to get to like 5.5 with them. And that might be okay if you're like a 3 out of 10 right now. So that's why I say, like, this is not for beginner copywriters, because beginner copywriters, you guys can learn very, very quickly from copy gurus, and you can probably make some progress. So go learn from them. Click away from this video, go watch them right now. But if you're already a copywriter and you're already at 5 out of 10, and you want to get to like 9 out of 10, you want to get to 10 out of 10, like you really want to get very, very good at copy, you're not going to be able to do that with a copy guru, because they're going to like limit you, they're going to block you, just as you get to that point where you want to get to the next level, right? Make sure that you can see examples of their copy. And with just these 2 red flags alone, you can probably remove most people as a potential coach. The other reason that this is very tricky for copy gurus is that a lot of them have an ego, and good writers basically always hate their copy. We always hate our copy from 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. We'll always have something we want to do differently. So it's difficult for a copy guru to actually share their work, because they're probably not going to really be that proud of it anyway. And that's actually normal. Like most copywriters, if you look at your work from a few months ago, probably not going to like it that much. For example, the other day I was sharing some of my copy I wrote in 2023 in Copy Basecamp, and yeah, like obviously it was a good sequence. It made my clients $2.3 million over the course of 2023, but like I was reading it and I was like, oh, I could change this. I should have wrote this. I should have made it this way. I should have changed this section. So like I'm reading it live in front of 50 people, explaining to them how it works. And while I'm reviewing it live, I'm like, oh, I need to change this section, or like this should have been so much better and this should have been so much better. And I'd say that that's like a really important thing, that, you know, looking at the copy, showing people your work as a copywriter is a very important part of becoming better. And a lot of copy gurus will not show you that part of the process. And now a few of you might say, well, what about their copy? Like as in their YouTube titles or their sales pages or their coaching pages or whatever. you can actually hire other copywriters to write that for you. And most copy gurus have a copywriter working for them. And that's not bad, and by the way, it's not a bad thing that they have a copywriter writing for them. It's just that the copy you see in their business most of the time is written by a copywriter that they hired. They don't usually write that themselves. So, I mean, you know, you're not going to get a very good idea of their level as a copywriter if all you're looking at is their marketing assets, because those marketing assets could have been written by somebody that has a lot of experience from writing. Because again, like if they're making, let's say, $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month from their courses, they can afford to pay a copywriter $10,000 to write all their funnels. And the funnels can be really, really good. And then you think, wow, great copy coach. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, maybe, right? But go back to red flag number 1 and 2. Have they generated $10 million in sales? Are they comfortable sharing their copy live to show you some of their writing? Now, the third red flag is mastery over time. They've spent years in the game. A lot of copy gurus have only been in the industry for maybe 1 or 2 years, and then they become a copy coach. Then they're like, oh, let me show you the secrets, right? And sometimes they don't even make any money for clients, okay? They made money for themselves from day one as a copy coach, and then they kind of like, oh, I made $100,000 in my first year. It's like, no, you sold $100,000 worth of coaching programs, and now you're using that as a like, oh, you know, that was copywriting. No, good copywriters have been in the industry for years, and they've mastered the craft of writing. They've been in the game. They probably still have clients. Most of them still actually write for clients. And you want to learn from these people because they actually know what's working. They know the process. They know the steps necessary to make money from copywriting for their clients and for themselves. And how much can you even learn in a year anyway? Like, I'm going to make a bet that if you're still watching this video, you're a copywriter with over a year of experience. Now, when you first got started, maybe you felt like it was a lot easier than you thought. It was like, oh, this is quite simple, you know, just this concept and this thing here and then this thing. I want to know these few things. Like, it's going to be easier to make money, right? But as time goes on, you realize how little you actually know about copywriting. And then it's like this, wow, I gotta learn, I gotta level up. Most copy gurus, because they've only been in the industry for a year, they think that they know everything that they need to know about copywriting to become successful. And so when they become coaches, they talk about everything as if they know how it works. I'll tell you, it took me about 4 years before I really started to feel, comfortable. I really started to feel like, okay, it's starting to click for me. You know, I had a lot of light bulb moments all throughout my career as a copywriter, but yeah, it took me about 4 years before I really started to truly understand the information industry, the marketing industry in general. Yeah, it took me 4 years, and I can't imagine how little many of these copy gurus know if they were only in the industry for a year by themselves. You know, you join the industry, you write a little bit of copy, now you start copy coaching, you hire a couple of guys to tell you how to build your business. Like, you don't really know that much about the industry. And that can be okay to some extent, especially for beginners. Again, like beginners, it might be fine. But if you're a copywriter who wants to make over $10,000, you want to make $15,000, you want to make $20,000, you want to make $25,000 every single month, you need to understand the fundamentals very, very, very well. And copy gurus are not going to be able to help you with that, right? The gurus haven't really been in the game for very long, so they don't understand this stuff deep down. And like, they haven't internalized the fundamentals of marketing. They've really just made a little bit of money and then they went into copy coaching. And I've had a few copywriters I've coached over the years that they started as copywriters and within 6 months they were coaching people. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you coaching people? You've only been in the industry for 6 months. You don't need a coach. Like, focus on your clients, focus on making money for big businesses, get the reps in, get the experience. And no, they want to, you know, it's easier to just make money selling courses. So some people have done that. Some people decide, I'll just sell courses, right? But the ones I know who make a lot of money from coaching, the good coaches that make a lot of money long-term, they make equal money, sometimes more money from clients. And I'd highly recommend you learn from people like that, because those are the guys in the trenches. They're going to actually be able to point you in the right direction. So red flag number 4, which is pretty similar to red flag number 3. Red flag number 3 is that they've not really been in the industry a long time. Red flag number 4 is that they're not in the industry anymore at all. They're not active writers. If you're not active as a copywriter in the industry today, you don't know what is happening, because in the information industry, in the info product space, for infopreneurs, the direct response internet marketing world, it's constantly evolving. It's always changing. And it doesn't change in terms of principles, right? I've learned over the years, like there are some core principles, there are some core ways to run the business, but because the market is constantly exposed to offers and funnels and ads, what happens is the market gets used to a certain style of copy. And the market gets bored of that. The market gets used to, oh, I know I'm about to get on a sales call. Like a few years ago, for example, perfect example, when I first got started, everybody was calling sales calls strategy session. It's like, oh, let's jump on a strategy session. Everybody in the market knows what a strategy session is, okay? Everyone knows a strategy session means I'm gonna get on the phone, they're gonna try sell me some product, I'm gonna tell them I need to think about it, they're gonna follow up with me a few weeks later, they're gonna try and get me to buy something. People know it's a strategy session. So imagine you've got a copy guru who, let's say, was in the industry in 2019 for 1 year. They learned that you call it a strategy session, but they're no longer active in the industry. What do you think is gonna happen? They're gonna tell their students like, oh yeah, if you want to sell a sales call, just be like, oh, click here for book a strategy session, right? So everybody, all their students type like book a strategy session, and then their copy doesn't convert, and they're like, I don't know what happened. It's like, because they're not active in the industry anymore, they don't know that strategy session has become overused. Another good example is if you're learning from, let's say, an email copywriter, the words that get you into the promo tab, the words that get you into spam, they change. The industry evolves. So what worked a year ago doesn't work the same way anymore. Like what used to get you into spam, what used to get you into promo tab, sometimes you can even get away with stuff that you used to not be able to get away with because the industry keeps evolving. So if you're not actively in the industry, you're missing out on all those things as a copy coach, and you're not able to, teach that. So if you're learning from a copy coach who's been out of the industry for years, they're going to give you stuff that used to work. They're going to give you proven formulas that used to work. Plus, they don't really understand the principles. Plus, they don't even have many results in many different industries. Yeah, you might learn a couple of client getting tactics from them, but most client getting tactics these days, you can get access to for free. It's not even like the hard part. The hard part is learning the skill of copywriting. So if you're going to learn the skill of copywriting, I'd recommend you learn it from somebody who's actively writing for clients right now, who has experience, who's currently active in the industry and has generated $10 million in sales copy for their clients, okay? So red flag number 5, and this is a little bit more subtle. This is something you might not as easily see, but it's equally as important. Red flag number 5 is that copy gurus, they recycle and they use old success stories. And that's not bad in itself because it does mean that they've got results in the past. But if you want to learn from a copy coach and you want to get results in today's market, you're going to need to use stuff that works today. And so kind of like I was just saying how many copy gurus are not active in the industry. Many copy gurus don't have active student results. They have results from years ago. And what they'll do is they'll take that student result and they'll just reuse it again and again and again. They'll say, oh yeah, no, like so-and-so he got results. And then a year from now, they'll say again, oh, so-and-so got results. And I actually know a coach that did this. There's a really successful copywriter who learned from a copy guru and he got results 2 years ago for 1 month. He hit 10K for 1 month. And that copy guru was like, oh, so-and-so made $10,000 a month. They're really a successful copywriter. They've been in the game. Amazing, blah, blah, blah. Had an interview. It all felt like super legit. And it's like, then why did that copywriter apply to work with me 2 months later and they were at 2K a month when they made 10K 2 months previously? Why are they at 2K when they applied to work with me in the dojo? That's what happened. I was like looking at the guy's application because, I work with people privately. You have to apply. So I was like looking at his application, like, why are you at 2K a month? I thought I saw an interview where you were doing 10K. He's like, oh yeah, I only made 10K once. So-and-so kind of like took that and, he made it into, he kind of like spun it a little bit and this, whatever, whatever. And it's like, yeah, technically whatever for the guy, right? But if you're a copywriter looking to learn from somebody like that, that's kind of misleading, It's like, well, did he really get those kinds of results? Is he still actively getting those results or not? He's not, right? He went right back to 2K. So that's very important. You want to look for somebody who gets active results. Now, I'll tell you about the dojo for a second. With me, when I work with copywriters, we have a lot of results from last year, but I don't feel comfortable sharing those results today. I don't feel comfortable taking results from last year and saying like, oh, look at this copywriter who got results. Like every single month, we're closing anywhere from 30 to 60 premium businesses. in the dojo. And so I'd rather just share active results right now. So in my experience as a coach, when you're good at what you do and you help people get results, you always have testimonials. Like every single month, I have new screenshots and new success stories from clients I'm working with. I don't need to recycle from a year ago. The only time you need to recycle testimonials from a year ago is if you're not getting results today, right? That's it. So copy gurus, if you see somebody using a testimonial from a year ago or 2 years ago, what does that tell you about their results today? Hello, right? Like they're not getting results right now. Like of all the 5 red flags, it's probably the worst one, because maybe if a copy coach, let's say like maybe a copy coach only got $8 million in sales generated for a client and they're not actively running with a lot of clients, but hey, they're getting a lot of results for their students, then go for it. Go work with them. But if they're not getting any active results right now, it's like you're taking your money and you're like, cool, let's just light it. Let's just light that money on fire and just like burn it, because you're going to learn stuff that doesn't work anymore. You're going to learn strategies, you're going to learn outreach methods, you're going to learn client getting tactics, you're going to learn copy tactics. None of that stuff's going to work. It's not going to be that useful for you. And it's like, well, I know you wasted your money. So those are the 5 red flags. Those are the most important things that can derail your success if you work with the wrong person. And instead of giving any of them like a specific attention and being like, hey, here's a bad copy guru, don't learn from this person. In this video, I'm not going to give them any attention. We're not going to focus on them at all. I'm just going to show you my list of copy coaches I trust, I've learned from, I've invested money with, and other copy coaches I've heard really, really good things about. And you can just take this list and you can learn from these people yourself and save yourself a lot of time and money. So let's get into that list right now. By the way, if you're curious how I work with my copywriting clients and you'd like to learn more, I've got tons and tons of videos on this channel with copywriters who are making anywhere from 5K a month to 10K a month, 15K a month, 20K a month, 25K a month, even a few making 30, 40, and 50K a month. And I'm gonna ask my editor to put the video here, please. Put the videos here, put the playlist here. Okay. Go watch those videos so you get an idea of the kind of work that we do and how I like to work with my clients if you're interested in working with me and if you're interested in learning some of the secrets from some of the best writers in the industry. So now I'm going to share with you my personal list of 27 of the best copywriters in the industry. And I split this into 3 different categories. I split this into the ones I've learned from directly. I split this into the ones I like, but I never learned from directly. And also other copywriters I've heard a lot of good stuff about, but I'm not really that familiar with them. So I'm looking into them now, learning more about them. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first list here is the 16 copywriters or marketers I've directly learned from. And these are copywriters I've worked with one-on-one, some of them, and then other ones I've paid for courses from, other ones I've read a lot of their copy and studied their stuff, but I haven't invested with, but I directly studied a lot. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first one is Clayton Makepeace. Now, I really, really like Clayton. I love his style. I love the way that he explains copy too. So I've spent quite a bit of money like learning from him. And I've worked with a few people that have worked with Clayton as well directly. So I've learned, you know, through his students a lot of stuff as well, which has been really great for my career. I've learned a lot of good stuff, helped me a lot. And yeah, I just don't have anything bad to say about the guy. He's a genius, may he rest in peace. He's generated billions of dollars in revenue in finance, health, publishing. He's done a lot of great stuff, a lot of long form copy, some of the best campaigns. He's also made boatloads of money as a copywriter and set up some really crazy deals with some of the businesses that he's worked with. I also love the way that he teaches copy, like the passion behind his approach, and he likes to break stuff down in a very, very digestible way, step by step, which is very much the way I like to teach copy as well. So his style resonates with me a lot. It's a very similar way I like to coach as a coach as well. So yeah, only good stuff to say. You're going to learn a lot about long form copy. You're going to learn how to write health copy, finance copy, other very competitive markets. He talks about stuff like strategies and techniques for maximizing lifetime customer value. Lots of other cool things. One thing I learned from him that was really cool is dimensionalizing copy, which is something that not a lot of people really talk about. And yeah, we'll talk about it maybe in another video. But yeah, it's really, really good. Highly recommend you consume some of his stuff. All right, so now let's go into the second coach here. This is my favorite coach, the one I learned from in the early days, in my first serious year in the industry where I was really taking copywriting seriously. I got some training from this guy. His name is Matt Fury. Matt doesn't know me yet, but I love Matt's stuff, and my clients I worked with, they had invested a lot of money with Matt. So as the copywriter in the team, they told me go through this material, and I went through his material. I devoured everything that I could get my hands on from Matt Fury, because the way Matt teaches, the way he speaks, his style, he's very funny. No, I love everything Matt Fury. I would read his emails every single day. And he's a coach to some of the very well-known writers in the market these days. If my memory serves me correctly, he's Ben Settle's copy coach. And Ben Settle is the coach to Daniel Throssell as well. So if you know the email world, this is the king of email, the early email king. And that's probably why I got good at email so quickly in the early days and made my client like $5 million in my first year writing copy for him. My first big client, I made him like $5 million from email within the first year of taking email very, very seriously. So no, I have nothing but good stuff to say about Matt. Read his emails. Some of his emails you might struggle to bridge into like modern copy, because a lot of modern copy is a little different, but the way he writes is very entertaining. He's very good at writing. He's very hypnotic in his style. So I have a lot of good stuff to say. Yeah, he's really good. His storytelling. He's also good at creating dialogue with the audience, which is fun. Not many copywriters know how to do that tactfully. And he's also brilliant at selling like sales pages. His products, he's very, very good at selling stuff. No, I like him a lot. He's also written for a lot of businesses and generated a crap ton of results as a copywriter. And he has run live seminars in person that are high ticket. So he's very, very good at what he does. And so you can learn a lot about email marketing, a lot about strategies of talking to people on an email list. You wouldn't learn anywhere else. Matt's the core. I suppose maybe you'd learn a little bit of that stuff from me these days, since I got so much of my style from him, since I learned so much from him. That's sort of also part of how I write copy today. But go to the source, learn directly from Matt. He's a great guy, and he creates really engaging educational copy. One of the things I learned from him was how to do the how without actually selling, like teaching the how. He kind of says, here's how to do it, and then, or here's what to do. He doesn't really sell the how. He's very, very good at that. I'll leave you to go and figure out what that means. Go and look him up, and you'll learn a lot from him. Okay, so let's go into the next marketer, Ian Stanley. Ian's very funny. I enjoy a lot of Ian's videos. I stumbled upon his stuff really, really early on in my career, and yeah, everything he puts out is very high quality. He's a very smart dude. I do believe I bought some of his products 6 years ago, not entirely sure which ones. I think he had a book I bought as well. And yeah, no, I read a lot of his stuff. I've been reading a lot of his emails, and a lot of email copywriters have learned email copy from Ian. So indirectly, I learned a lot from Ian because a lot of my colleagues write styles like he does. I don't know who his clients are. I don't know him that well, but I know he's written for a crap ton of people, and his copy has made $100 million at this point. I'm pretty sure he's made $100 million. And he's got a couple of courses these days on how to write copy, and yeah, there is good stuff. He's very, very good at what he does. So I'd highly recommend you sign up to his email list and you start learning from Ian as well. All right, so the next copywriter on this list is Colin Theriot. He's really smart. I have worked with him directly on one-on-one calls. I like everything that Colin puts out. He's a very smart marketer. He runs one of the biggest Facebook groups on copywriting in the entire world. So he's very, very big. He's got a lot of experience. He's been in the game for a very, very long time. Over 30,000 people in his group. For a very long time, that was like the go-to group to get copywriting clients. Like there's a job board he had, and it's pretty good still. I've seen a lot of good gigs on there as well. But I remember when I first got started, like everybody would go to this job board to get clients. So Colin knows his stuff. Really smart guy. He's helped me a lot with my own content strategy and like how to produce ideas that are compelling again and again and again. Got only good stuff to say about Colin as well. Would highly recommend you get in his world. A smart guy, very, very smart guy. Lots of smart insights on copywriting psychology. I like the psychology, building a personal brand. He's also brilliant at that. He's also good at building a community. Yeah, he's good at positioning and building expertise. So you'll learn a lot from him. All right, so let's go on to the next one. So David Deutsch. He is a genius copywriter. I think he has made at this point, it's in the hundreds of millions. I don't remember which one. I think it's 700, but he's generated a crap ton of results. And I had the privilege of actually co-hosting a training a few years ago with David. We were guest coaches in the community, and we had a call together, and I learned a lot about ideation and you know, how to come up with marketing messages from David on that call, and some of that stuff I still use today. So just one call with David had a very big impact on my career and my skills as a copywriter. So I'd highly recommend you sign up to David's email list. He always writes really good stuff. He's a very smart copywriter. I think he has a product. Oh, I'm probably gonna botch his product name. Just search him, David Deutsch, very good copywriter. He's got good products. I've purchased from him before. I learned a lot from him. He also coaches some copywriters one-on-one still, so you can learn from him directly, as far as I know. And yeah, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant copywriter. He's good at creating headlines and crafting sales pages. Very, very good. All right, so the next one is Gary Halbert. Gary, of course. You may already know who Gary is. I like Gary because his writing style is very energetic. It's very explosive writing. It's very fun to read. And I haven't learned directly from Gary, I suppose you could say, but I learned from a guy that learned from one of Gary's mentees. So I guess you could say like I'm a fourth generation Halbert mentee, because yeah, like the guy I learned most of my copywriting from in the early days, I learned directly from. His mentor worked with Gary directly for a very, very long time. So I wouldn't say that I know Gary's stuff super, super well, because I don't read a lot of old school copy. I find that it is useful, but it has its place. A lot of modern copies is different because the market is different and the way you talk is different and the style and the length and stuff. So I don't spend too much time on old school content, but when I do read old school sales letters, I enjoy Gary's stuff, and he's always been very, very good. And I'm sure many of the strategies that we use in today's market go back to him. You know, a lot of the stuff that I've learned over the years through working with really talented copywriters, I probably learned all that stuff, and it actually probably originally came from Gary. So that would probably be, you know, where I directly learned from. He's also a mentor to many of the top copywriters. You know, you're gonna learn a lot if you study some of his stuff. All right, so the next copywriter here is Gary Bencivenga. And I love Gary because, well, I mean, first of all, he's one of the best copywriters in the world. I love the way he writes bullets. Very, very good. Just very entertaining copy. I always enjoy it. I always smile. That is one of the best things about a good copy coach and a good copywriter. They always make you smile. They're really good at making you smile or laugh, especially with good copy, like whether it's fear copy, whether it's, you know, curiosity angle, big secret angle. This kind of makes me always chuckle, like, oh, that's silly, or that's funny, or that's really, really smart. So, you know, he's one of those copywriters that always makes me smile. And Gary was personally mentored by John Caples, one of the pioneers of modern advertising. And he worked closely with David Ogilvy, the legend of advertising. And he's created a lot of copywriting frameworks that have changed the way that the direct response world works, and we still use a lot of those today. So Gary's really, really good. Gary is one of the big names that a lot of people, they get a lot of inspiration from, and so I have to put him on this list. And I actually want to learn a lot more from Gary. I think over the next few months I'm going to dig more into his stuff and become more familiar with a lot of what he teaches, because he's really, really, really good. You learn a lot about advanced persuasion from him and a lot of sales copy techniques. He's really, really good at that. And he also knows how to position products very, very well. So if you want to position your products as the go-to, you should learn from Gary. He's really good. Also, by the way, you might not know this, but he does actually have an active email list right now. He's been sharing a lot of stuff recently. So hopefully when you watch this, it's still live. Make sure to go and subscribe to his email list and learn from him. He's good. The next one I want to talk about is Eugene. So Eugene Schwartz is one of the best marketers in existence. He put together the book Breakthrough Advertising, and most copywriters live and breathe this book. I would highly recommend you learn from him. He has a lot of principles about marketing that are timeless, and it is difficult to sometimes apply his book, especially because it's very, very dense, and there's a lot of tactics and a lot of concepts in there, but you definitely want to have this book. You definitely want to learn from Eugene. Highly would recommend him. A lot of the good copywriters of today will all talk about Eugene, and yeah, so you got to be aware of him. You know, these are the guys. These are not the gurus. You see copy gurus or Eugene. You should choose Eugene Schwartz. You know, so learn from all these people, but don't be overwhelmed. Don't worry about trying to learn from everybody at once. Pick one coach. Doesn't have to even be on this list. Make sure that they don't have the 5 red flags I brought up earlier. Learn from them. They're gonna distill a lot of what the best teach, and they're going to teach it to you. And it's okay if you don't learn it directly from, let's say, Clayton or from Gary Halbert. I mean, some of those guys you can't learn from anymore because they've already passed away. But you'll find that a lot of the tactics that work today are all originally from the greats, and it's just been passed on generation after generation. It's a very beautiful skill, actually. It's like a craft. And I think of Japan, where you have like a sensei and he teaches somebody, and then they become the sensei, and then they teach somebody, and then there's a sensei. It's very much an apprenticeship. Copywriting is not a course. You can't just buy a copy course and become a master copywriter. It is an apprenticeship. You do have to learn one-on-one at the end of the day. So learn from these people, get as much information as you can from them that you can find useful, but long-term, you do want to get a one-on-one copy coach. That's why I say, like, look at the interviews on my channel. You can get an idea of what it's like to work with a good copy coach, and then you go find the coach that you think makes sense for you. But in the long run, if you want to make more than $10,000 a month, you want to go to that $25,000 level, your copy has to reflect that. You know, if you want to make $25,000, your skill has to reflect $25,000. And you're only going to get there if you hire a good copy coach. You're not going to be able to get there by yourself. I've had the privilege of learning from a lot of good copy coaches without having to pay them, because they were copy chiefs at companies I worked for. So I was working for a company, I had a copy chief, but if I were to have learned from those copywriters without being in those teams, I would have paid them anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So you got to factor that into your growth. You know, if you want to make 25K, what is 5K a month anyway? Right? And most coaches are not going to charge you that much anyway. But even if they did, it's worth it. So keep that in mind. Let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to put Dan Kennedy on this list. Great books, great coach, billions of dollars in sales. He's worked with some of the best in the business today. They learn from him. Add him to your list. I'm not going to go into too much detail there. Dan is one of the best. I think that he doesn't even really need an introduction. If you're a copywriter, you should know he exists at this point. So, you know, make sure that you're learning from Dan Kennedy, or that he's on your radar at least. All right, so the next one on this list, my friend Adil Amassi. He's a great guy. Generated $1.4 billion in results in 428 niches. So really, really, really experienced copywriter. I've worked with him one-on-one. I've chatted with him on the channel. You can actually watch his interview on the channel. And he is, yeah, he's fantastic. You know, just one one-on-one session with him, and I knew I wanted to work with him long-term and work with him one-on-one, just because of the way he does what he does. You have to experience certain copy coaches. You just have to experience the work yourself. You just have to be on the phone and let them demonstrate their skill. That's actually maybe even like red flag number 6, is that they cannot demonstrate that they're good live. Because if they can't demonstrate that they're good live, very low chance that they're a good copywriter. It's a good way to like put a copy guru on the spot, get them to write some copy, see how it turns out. If they can't do it, probably not that experienced, probably not that decent copy, you know. So Adil's fantastic. His system is very straightforward, very, very easy to consume and very easy to understand, even for somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience in the industry. So got nothing but good stuff to say. He's one of the very few copy coaches that I would recommend my own clients to and say, hey, if you want to learn copy from somebody other than me, then go and learn from Adil, because he's really good. So the next one is Joanna Wiebe. I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. It's interesting because we used to live in the same city in Canada, because I lived in Canada for a while. And when I first discovered her channel, I noticed that she was living in Victoria, Canada. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So it's too bad I didn't meet her in person, but I had the opportunity of learning from her because one of her business partners and I rewrote sales copy for a client together. And when we were writing that copy, he gave me access to some of her training to help with that process. So I was able to learn from her. Yeah, it was really good, like really, really good stuff. She's very, very systematic. She approaches copy from a data perspective. She collects a lot of messaging from customers and testimonials, and she takes everything and really puts it all together and makes an incredible sales page. Very, very data-driven. If you're a systematic person and you're very, like, I want to do it this way, I would recommend you learn from her because she's good at doing it that way. And then we got Chris Haddad, Mr. Moneyfingers. Chris is fantastic. I love Chris. He's hilarious. He's really good at what he does. He writes really emotionally compelling copy. His prospects get a punch in the gut every single time they read his stuff. So I've read a lot of his sales copy, and you know, that stuff's gold. I save it in a swipe file and go back to revisit it just to enjoy how good it is. Chris is a fantastic copywriter, and I've worked with him because I've purchased some stuff from him before. I've watched his trainings, I've done the exercises that he recommended, and I've seen a lot of results in my own copy because of what I learned from Chris. So again, another fantastic copywriter you can learn from. Highly recommend Chris. Daniel Throssell. So I hope Daniel doesn't ban me from his email list for talking about him because Daniel's great. No, Daniel's funny. I'm always on his email list and reading his emails, and he's always making me laugh. He's fantastic at what he does. I don't think I've actually bought anything from him yet. That's why I hope he doesn't ban me because I have been studying his email copy, even though I haven't been a customer. I've studied his email copy. I've read a lot of his stuff, and just his emails alone, I would say, is a masterclass on how to write entertaining, engaging copy. So I've learned a lot from him without even having to buy any of his courses. I would like to continue to learn more from Daniel. So Daniel, please don't ban me from your email list. I enjoy reading your stuff, and yeah, looking forward to continue learning from you if you're watching this video. So all right, and my good friend Ed Ray, one of my first copy mentors. I learned a lot from you, bro. I know you're probably gonna watch this, so thanks so much for all the coaching that you've given me. Early on when I was writing copy, Ed was there and he gave me a lot of one-on-one time. He gave me a lot of feedback. He gave me a lot of perspective. And I wouldn't really be anywhere where I am today without Ed, because Ed was just really giving me a lot of his time and attention and love and support. And Ed's a great guy. Ed's great at copy. He's a very, very versatile writer. He can write in multiple markets. Business to business, business to customer. He's great. No, you know, you can't go wrong when you work with somebody like Ed. Yeah, and Ed's a good friend too. Ed's a very supportive guy. So like he'll be able to help coach. You know, he's strong. He's you know, tell you what you need to hear sometimes, like tough love. You know, but he's good. He's very, very good at what he does, and I've learned a lot from him. So, you know, follow Ed Ray, fantastic guy. All right, next on the list we got Troy Erickson. Troy's fantastic email marketer. I have learned a lot from him. I was in his communities for a while he was still actively coaching. I think he's doing more of his work as a copywriter now, which is good, right? Actively in the industry. That's why Troy's one of the best, because he's actually in the game, working, making clients money, not just running info products. So I really respect Troy. Troy's a fantastic coach and fantastic copywriter and marketer. And I had the opportunity to work with him one-on-one. I had a call with him one-on-one, and on that call, I got a lot of insights, you know, just 1 hour with him, and did a lot for my business. A lot of stuff that I don't think even Troy really knows. Maybe when you watch this video, Troy, you'll know. But he told me on that call, you know, charge a lot more money and also post a lot more, be more active. At the time, I was very, not invisible, but I just wasn't very big. People didn't really know who I was. And Troy told me to get out there and talk to more people. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't been more active and talked to more people. So Troy was a part of that, and that was good. It was really good to hear it from Troy as well, that, you know, you've got some good stuff going for you, but you need to get out there. You need to talk to more people. So I'm going to pass that message on, the thing I learned from Troy, to you. The reason you're not where you want to be as a copywriter, and the reason you don't have premium copy clients, and that you're not at 25K a month, is probably because you're not actively posting, you're not actively out there. So you need to go and get out there. That's going to take you to the next level. All right, next we got Alan Sultanich. And I worked with Alan one-on-one in his Fast Forward. Alan's brilliant, super, super smart marketer. The thing I like about Alan is that he's not just a copywriter, he has the full perspective on marketing. So he also helps you to understand the strategy and why you write a certain way and how to write a certain way to different markets. He's a very flexible writer and a very flexible marketer. And we did an interview on the channel, so you can go watch that. He understands marketing, not just copywriting. He understands the full picture. And when you have somebody that understands the full picture, you're much better equipped to write copy in the way that actually works with the overarching strategy. And that's really important, because a lot of copywriters, they just write copy without understanding the strategy. They just write the copy. But when you understand the strategy, the copy is even more effective, and you can actually adjust your copy to match what the market and what the offer really requires it to be. And that's fantastic. And you're not going to get that from most coaches. You're definitely not going to get it from copy gurus. Just spend 2 hours learning from Alan with his free content, and your wallet will thank you. Your career will thank you. You'll probably learn more in just 2 hours than you'll learn from 20 copywriting gurus combined. Okay. He's a really, really smart guy. Highly recommend you learn from Alan. All right. Now let's move to list 2, the 5 well-known copywriters that I have not directly learned from, but are very, very good, and I've consumed some of their stuff, and I really, really like what they have to say, and they're really, really good at what they do. The first one here is Stefan Georgi. Stefan's fantastic. Stefan has taught a lot of copywriters I've learned from. So I've learned a lot of stuff indirectly from Stefan, and a lot of copywriters I've coached, a lot of copywriters that work with me always sing Stefan's praises. They say, oh, I learned a lot of stuff from him about mechanisms, a lot of stuff about how to create a solution for the marketplace so that the market thinks that, you know, the offer that you're selling is the most logical and the best offer. Stefan's really good at mechanisms, and he's really good at making the market see your product as the only product that they should be getting. All right, another copywriter I've heard really, really good stuff from, but I haven't learned from, is Paris Lampropoulos. I know Paris has created a crap ton of controls. I think it's 50 controls if I remember correctly. Like, he has generated like hundreds of millions of dollars. I think like $1 billion at this point. One thing I remember Paris saying years ago, I hope I don't misquote him, but he said something to the effect of like, if you don't cringe at copy from months ago, you're not getting better. I've heard that Paris is one of the most successful copywriters in history, so I'm going to learn a lot more from him. I would highly recommend you look him up. He is one of the best. He has created a lot of results, so learn from him. Another copywriter I've heard a lot of great stuff from is Kevin Rogers. Always hear really, really good stuff about Kevin. He's one of the few that really cares about the future of the industry, and he really cares about copywriters, and he's really investing a lot of time into serving copywriters as best as possible, making the industry a lot better. Then we got Alex Catoni. So Alex has got a massive YouTube channel, and I don't know too much about Alex, but I've got a few clients that have worked with her, and they've all said really, really good stuff. She got a big agency. She works with a lot of people and has generated a lot of results. So really recommend that you check out her YouTube channel, check out what she's up to, sign up to her email list, see what she has to say. She's a really talented copywriter and marketer. Now, I thought about this and I decided to put John Colton on this list because I actually haven't really spent too much time studying John's stuff. I've read a few of his sales letters. I haven't read as many as I'd like, so I thought I'll just put him here. But if you don't know John, you're not really in the copywriting industry yet, I would say John is one of the best ever. Most copywriters would agree with that. So check out John Colton. Amazing sales copy, really, really good stuff. You know, definitely would recommend you add him to your list of people to learn from. All right, so we're on the final list now. Now, this list is 5 copywriters I've heard really good stuff about, but I haven't really read much of their stuff. I don't really know much about it all, so I can't really share any perspective. I'm just going to briefly list their names, and I would recommend you have a look at them because I've heard good stuff from more than 5 copywriters, 5 people I trust. They've all said good stuff about these copywriters, so I'd highly recommend you check them out. Okay, so the first one is Kim Kraus-Schwalm. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Kim is, from what I've heard, really, really good. And she is a fantastic email marketer. I think I'm on her email list, but sorry, Kim, I haven't read as many of her emails as I'd like to have. But whenever I remember reading her emails, I was like, yeah, she's really, really good. Then there's Pauline Longdon. And I've seen Pauline in quite a few different communities I've been a part of. I have coached some people that she's also coached. And yeah, heard really, really good stuff. Seen some of her posts on Facebook. I think she's great. Looks like she's really talented at what she does. I'd highly recommend you learn from her as well. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to her and ask her if she'd be down for an interview. I'd like to get to know more about what she's up to. Then there's Dan Ferrari. Don't know anything about Dan at the moment, but I've heard only good stuff about him. So I would highly recommend you check him out too. So then there's Carl Milligan. Carl's really cool. I haven't really consumed much of his stuff, but maybe a dozen copywriters at this point have said that they've learned from Carl and they got into the industry with Carl. So I've heard he's really, really good. So I'll check him out and I highly recommend you check him out too. Then there's one more. Last but not least, Nabeel Azeez. I've seen Nabeel, I've seen his posts on Facebook. I've heard lots of good stuff about him from a lot of copywriters. And again, I don't really know much about him, but I know that I've had dozens of copywriters tell me good stuff about Nabeel, so he must be really, really good. So check him out as well. All right, there you have it. That's my list after spending $100,000 in copy coaching. Those are the copywriters I would recommend you spend your money with and you learn from. And you also have the 5 red flags of all the gurus out there that are looking to take your money. So please avoid them and learn from the best instead. Now, if you want to take your copywriting skills to the next level and you want to close more premium clients and you want to make more than $10,000, you want to make $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month as a copywriter, then check out some of the videos on my channel where I interview some of the best copywriters in the game right now. We talk about everything from buyer psychology to how to write the close, to how to write headlines, to create offers that scale, to how to test stuff on the sales page, to how to close clients for $5,000 to $10,000 per month. We talk about literally everything in these interviews, and I'm bringing on more and more guests and more of my clients every single week to share those secrets with you guys. Oh, and one more thing. It's very, very important. One more thing. Hopefully he appreciates the way I said it.
What? Just know that I believe in you and you're doing well.
Oh, thanks. Oh no, you know what? I haven't been recording. Just kidding. Now you know what it's like. Get wrecked.